Hello students and welcome to another lesson in figurative language. Today we're focused on personification, which in this picture you can see is a picture of two unhuman things doing something very human, taken in a movie at a movie theater. But M&Ms can't talk, walk, or watch a movie, but when you give human qualities to unhuman things, you have just personified that individual in your writing. So let's talk about personification and look at some examples. Personification is giving human qualities to animals or objects. For example, the stars winked at me. The stars can't actually wink or blink, but the author is saying this to make you think as though the star is twinkling in the sky. But if you just said it that way, it could be seen as boring, and we now know that figurative language intends to grab the reader's attention in different ways, which is why the author has written this sentence the way that they have. The stars winked at me. Personification, as we mentioned, gives human characteristics or qualities to animals, abstract concepts, or inanimate objects. An example would be, the sun smiled down, wrapping me in her warm embrace. Really, it just means it's a warm day, but it's a more interesting way to help the reader visualize. My computer hates me is personification, telling me that maybe you're having issues with your computer that day. Bright flowers dance joyfully. Perhaps they're growing because the sun is shining down on it, but rather than just say that, we use personification to describe the flower's growth. Night travels. This is an actual poem that's fully personification. In the dark night, the air breathed. Air cannot breathe, but when you think about it, it makes it stick out a little bit more. And fear stroked down my spine. That can't happen either. Fear is an inanimate object, and it can't stroke down your spine, but it probably means that you got a chill down your back. Shadows danced against the wall. Shadows obviously aren't dancing. It just means that they're moving, but when we say that it's dancing, it means that it's being personified. Not one of them was mine. So 3 different sentences in this poem actually get personified to allow the reader to dive into the story, into the poem, into the sentence a little bit more. Here are more examples. My heart was skipping a beat in my chest when I saw her. It may look like something like this in your mind, a heart-jumping rope, but really it just means that your heart pounds a little bit faster based on your feelings for the person that you're looking at. Money's the only friend I can count on. Well, money can't actually be a friend, but perhaps you visualize someone like this gentleman who's obsessed with his money, and that's because the personification helps us visualize something interesting, something funny and unique. It draws us in. The clouds pushed each other around in the sky. They don't actually shove and push. They're just moving around in the sky, and they seem to be pushing. But that pushing is a personification of the clouds. Jan ate the hot dog, even though her stomach was disagreeing with her. Here's a picture of a stomach saying, please don't feed me, I disagree with you. It doesn't actually happen that way. It just means that her stomach is upset. And the world does not care to hear your sad stories. Would look as though something like this, who doesn't want to hear you, but the world cannot actually hear. They're talking about the different people in the globe that don't need to hear your sad stories. Personification can get us to visualize before we actually then understand exactly what is being said. Your challenge then is to create or think of an example of personification, or just make one up, and then write it down on those lines. Think about what makes it personification, not a metaphor. Personification then would need to be given a person qualities, a human quality, to animals or an inanimate object, and then draw that picture right here of the personification for me. Good luck with this challenge.